man, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, tell me what this is today.
So over here we have a clip hand.
This is a new one.
Yeah, it's a very new.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me about it.
So this one is one of the beers that we call pushing bonus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
So this beer is inspired by it's a dark beer.
Yeah.
But at the same time it's very fruity and very citrusy.
Okay.
So we add hops that we call cinnamon columbus that add flavor in this beer.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Fantastic. Okay, well, should we give it a taste?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I can take that. Here we go. Be honest. Okay. Oh man, that is good.
Wow.
Rich, creamy, citrusy.
Yeah.
I really like that.
Yeah.
Okay, for this, I am going to take these beautiful lamb shanks, which is like the top part of the lamb's leg.
Yeah.
Cook them for like 5 hours, very slow, low heat. The meat will just fall apart. I'm going to put 2.5 bottles of this in there.
Yeah.
And that flavour is really going to penetrate the meat. It's going to be delicious. And I'm going to
Delicious.
serve that over a homemade pasta. How do you think?
So you're pushing your limits.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Okay, so today we are going to make a really incredible slow-cooked lamb shank ragu on top of, I'm going to make a homemade pappardelle, which is a thicker cut noodle. We're going to braise that lamb shank in this amazing cliffhanger, which is, it's a black IPA. Like we discussed outside, it's got this really rich, creamy, full-bodied flavor, which is going to lift the lamb to a really incredible new height. So here we have 3 delicious farm-fresh lamb shanks. These are organic lamb shanks that I got from a friend up in Nanyuki there. Wonderful. We're going to brown these off. I've got some oil going here already. That's just going to seal all the fat and the juice in there so that we get the fullest potential flavor out of these. So these are just going to go straight in there like this. Little trip there. While that's browning, I'm going to start building the vegetables for the ragu. Start with some onions. I've got some spring onions, some celery, some carrots. We're going to load it up with some tinned tomatoes. All of that's going to then, we're going to cook the lamb shanks in that lovely sauce. And then to finish it off, I've got this lovely rosemary that I picked from my garden this morning. We've got some sage, some pineapple sage, really fragrant, really lovely. It's going to pull everything together. So I'm going to get cracking on just dicing this onion, roughly chopped, because you know it's all going to cook down. Okay, so everything is nicely chopped. We're going to have a look at our meat now, which I can hear browning. I think it's probably got some good color on one side. Yes, it does. So I'm going to, oh, this is a bit high up for a short boy like me. Okay, so that's browned on one side. That looks great. Tuck that in. Just get some more browning here. Whoa. Look at that. Nice color on there. Really nice color on that meat. So that's all in there, looking good, browning off nicely, smelling really great in here. So into this deep, quite thick bottomed pan, I'm going to start building the flavors. So we're going to start with this lovely extra virgin olive oil into the pan, and then this is going to go on the heat, get the olive oil hot, and then we're going to get the vegetables loaded in there. Okay, so vegetables chopped, oil is warmed up, meat's browned, so we're ready to go. So this is going to go, oh yeah, hear that sizzle? That's going to go, all that, that's a stretch. All that veg is now going to cook away, so we're just going to soften those vegetables. When they're soft, we're going to start building up the ragu. For this recipe, we're going to use this lovely cliffhanger, which actually holds a really special place in my heart because it was named for a good friend of mine, Jason Spindler, who unfortunately died at the Dusit attacks in Nairobi. And the cliffhanger is named for Jason. Jason really loved rock climbing, and he really liked dark beers. So you can see this lovely color of this beer here. So Jason was really good friends with a lot of guys who work here at the brewery and who were part of the lovely 254 family. So I really want to do this justice, and I think with this lovely lamb, that's exactly what we're going to do. So I can hear the vegetables pretty much done. I'm going to take them off the heat and have a quick look. Yeah, that's nice and ready and softened. So into this veg, we're going to take these browned off lamb shanks and just nest them, you know, comfortably in and around the veg. You can see all of that lamb is now kind of resting on top of all that lovely flavor. Then I'm going to layer it with these herbs. We're just going to kind of like, again, nest that in and around the meat. And then I've got here About 800 grams, so it's 2 large tins of plum tomatoes, just whole tomatoes, because I like to have them whole because I feel like they retain more flavor. Those go in. Little bit of chili powder. This is not necessarily a spicy recipe, but I like a little bit of kick. A little bit of paprika to bring in some smoke. Probably a teaspoon to your flavor, to your taste, and then salt. We've loaded up all our veg. We've got some tomatoes in there, salt, chili, and now I've got this really lovely bone broth that I made at home that essentially is a stock. Anytime I buy meat on the bone, which I tend to do often because you get more flavor that way, I just boil off the bones for a good, I don't know, I kind of let them boil until they have done their job. If the marrow comes out, you get all that lovely flavor from the outside of the bone and you get a really rich stock. So you can see all the fat that's coagulated on the top. We want that. That's gonna go in there. And then we're gonna finish it off with 2 of these cliffhangers. And then I'm gonna fill it up with water so that water covers everything, get it back on the go, and that's gonna cook for 4 hours. Meat's gonna be falling off the bone, that fat's gonna be running through it. It's gonna be delicious, and it's gonna go on top of a lovely hand-cut, thick pasta, pappardelle, and we're gonna finish it with a nice shaving of Parmesan. It's gonna be delicious, but first, let's finish it with this beautiful cliffhanger. I've got 2 bottles here, so that basically will almost cover the meat, and then we're gonna finish it off just with some fresh water, and that's gonna go back on the heat. A good 4 to 4.5 hours. You want the meat to really be unctuous, falling off the bone, really succulent. And so I'm gonna get that on the heat, and then we're gonna plate up. Okay, so I'm gonna show you how to make a pretty basic, simple, fresh pasta recipe. Be prepared to get messy. Got my nice Fat Chap apron on here. Basic ingredients: eggs, flour, sometimes a little bit of water. I tend not to use water. Some recipes will call for it. Pinch of salt, a little bit of oil. So down here, I've got 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And what I'm gonna do is just make a nice well here in the middle. That's gonna nest our eggs. Got 4 large eggs here that I'm just gonna crack, directly into the well. There's no science to this. Everybody has a different pasta recipe, to be honest. This is the one that's always worked for me. It's pretty fall-safe, and you get a really nice yellow noodle, which I like. And the eggs and the gluten in the flour really come together to build that elasticity. Word scramble there, which I really like in my pasta dough. So eggs in the well there. Don't worry if they kind of come off a bit. And what you want to do, you want to just incorporate all the flour into your eggs from the side. I am making a huge mess of this, but that doesn't matter because it's all going to come together in the end. Slowly building it from the edges into the center of the well. And as you do that, you're going to be working the proteins and the glutens and building that elasticity that we need for this dough. It might seem a little bit sticky at first. Don't worry, it will firm up. Okay, we're going to get in there with our hands. I really actually like this. It's really cathartic, as I find all cooking is. So you want to kind of fold it in and over itself, like this. And it's good to start that movement from the beginning, because as you knead the dough, you don't want it to rip. So you're folding it over itself to stretch that gluten. So this does take some time. A lot of people have different opinions on this, but really I found that you can't overwork pasta, but you can underwork it. So a minimum of 7 minutes is what I go for, but you can probably, if it's your first time, shoot for 10. You can see that's coming together beautifully now already. It's already feeling like a really good dough. I'm proud of this one. As you would have bread, you're going to knead this dough, but you do not want it to rip. That is key. You do not want to rip the gluten. You want to fold it over itself like this until it gets springy. Well, the finished result that we're looking for is, look at the state of me. The finished result that we're looking for is a poke in the pasta and it springs back to its kneaded form. If you find that your dough is a bit sticky, you can go ahead and add a little bit more flour, but honestly, I found that this ratio is foolproof. This recipe will probably feed about 4, so it's a great family-size recipe, so get your kids stuck in too. Little hands do great kneading. Okay, so this is now looking like a really lovely, smooth pasta dough. You can see it's got kind of like a nice matte color to it. When you push it back, it bounces back to its original state. So just form a nice ball there. I'm going to just rub it with some olive oil on the outside, in the hands, rub it around. And you want to cover that in cling film and let it rest for a good 30 to 45 minutes, just to let it all, it kind of needs to take a deep breath. Right, the pasta has rested for about half an hour and we've got it out the fridge. You can see here, really lovely color, really retaining that color. It has a really nice sheen to it. This is a really good batch. So we're gonna now roll this out. I'm gonna use my trusty pasta maker behind me. I literally take it on holiday. I'm not even joking. I'll show you up here. The first thing to do is to cut your pasta into quarters because we're gonna do a quarter at a time. Roll it back up again so it doesn't dry out. I'm just gonna cut this into quarters. It just makes it much easier to work with if you have it in sections. Keep one aside and just wrap the others back up in that same cling film that you had earlier. You wanna just flour your tabletop slightly and you wanna make sure that you've floured your blades. That's important. Okay, and right, so, we're shooting in a brewery, we're trying to make pasta. We have to kind of like manipulate the space a bit. So I'm gonna stand on a box over here and get working on our first batch here. So we've started here on a 9 thickness, which is the thickest thickness, and we're gonna gradually get lower and lower as the pasta gets thinner and thinner. So, and get that first one going through, that looks great. You wanna fold it over kind of into a bit of an envelope. So we're gonna take it through again at the same, again at a 9. And that's coming through beautifully. That's great. So again, you want to fold it over. I'm going to do one more time at number 9, just because actually it was feeling a bit sticky. And I really would like to get clean edges. That looks perfect, okay? So we're going to drop that down to an 8. Sorry, so I'm going to go up to a 2. You might drop down to an 8. My thickness starts with a 1. So we're going to take that down 1 notch. That should be now, again, down again. And essentially, you continue until you have the desired thickness that you want in a pasta. And that is homemade pasta for you. This is looking great. I'm going to run it through that one again. Woo, this whole table is shaking. Love our makeshift pasta bar. So I've just cut it in half so that we get even sheets. And then I'm going to run it through again and just give it a little bit of help as it comes out. That looks great. And I'm going to do the same with the other sheet here. You can let this fall back because actually the weight holding it down will give you a nice even stretch. There we go. That looks lovely. And then we're going to go down again to our lower setting. That's going to go through. So you can see here we have 2 beautiful sheets, oopsie, 2 beautiful sheets of pasta. I'm going to do one more to the lowest setting. If you want to trim off the ends and be fancy, that's totally up to you. I just think pasta should be rustic if it's homemade, and I actually think it gives it a lot more character. So this is now on the lowest, thinnest setting. And I want to run it at this setting twice, just so we have that even consistency throughout the ribbon. And we have 2 pasta sheets. I'm going to roll out the rest, and then we're going to get to finishing off that wonderful ragu. Okay, so we've got our 4 pasta sheets. They look pretty good. They're a little uneven, but that doesn't really matter. If you have a pasta maker at home, you probably have a bunch of different attachments. I've got some pieces that I pick up when I go traveling. So these are really cute. You can do like little raviolis. It's quite sweet. But I'm just going, for today, because we've got this really kind of like full-bodied meat sauce, I want a ribbon that can carry that flavor and carry that bulk. Okay, so this is really easy. To get the noodles, you can just fold the pasta over itself, like so, into the center. Cut your ribbons like that. So you can see this noodle that's really nice and thick, and that's going to carry that ragu all the way to the finish line, and it's going to be absolutely delicious. There's nothing better than homemade noodles, honestly. There's nothing better than a homemade pasta noodle. Store-bought just never will taste the same again once you've done this. So you can see here we have our beautiful, lovely, large ribbons of pappardelle, and the ragu's finished. So these are going to cook literally in 2 to 3 minutes in boiling water, salted boiling water. Now the trick is you want the water as salty as the ocean. That's what the Italians say. So let's get these into the water now, 2 to 3 minutes, and we should be ready to go. Once they're in the water, just get them moving around a little so they don't stick together. And that's literally going to cook in about 2 to 3 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to plate up here. We've got a nice big white plate that's going to showcase the noodles and that lovely, beautiful 5-hour slow-cooked lamb. I'm going to show you this lamb because it's absolutely divine. Here we are. This meat is just, do you see that? Peeling away from that bone. It's so soft. I mean, it dissolves on your tongue. So keep the bones to make that bone broth, but really, you're gonna be so happy if you take the time on this. This is gonna be so good. You guys are absolutely gonna love this. All that fat from the lamb has just melted into the sauce. The tomatoes have dissolved. The celery, the carrots, everything's just come together. I'm so, so happy with that. I'm gonna get my noodles, I'm gonna dunk them in there, I'm gonna turn them, I'm gonna plate, and this is gonna blow your mind. Okay, so our noodles are floating on top, and they look absolutely fantastic. So I'm gonna drain these. This is what you wanna see, nice translucent noodles that are floating on top of your water. Okay, so our noodles are done. I'm gonna mix these noodles in with this lovely lamb ragu. I've left a little water on these noodles so that the sauce pulls through. Get them in there. Oh, get your noodles in there and just get them tossed around. I'm just gonna add some more sauce, but look at that. I mean, it's absolutely delightful, and that's what you want it to look like. Don't be worried that the noodles aren't perfect. I'm just gonna clean up my surface here a little and give my hands a quick wash, and then I'm gonna put this on the plate for you with that lovely cliffhanger. I want this to be a little bit dramatic, but also just really inviting. So we've got this nice big plate there. I'm gonna get these noodles and just kind of stack them in the middle here with that incredible, really incredible lamb ragu. And should just kind of, that's looking really nice. And I'm just gonna get some really nice, beautiful Parmesan on that. We're just gonna finish that off with some lovely basil flowers actually from my garden that I picked. And so here is a 5-hour lamb shank ragu on top of homemade pappardelle, served in memory of the wonderful Jason Spindler, encapsulated in a bottle of cliffhanger. Cheers.